Hello and welcome to the 7th IoTSF annual conference. As you'll be aware, this is the world's longest running dedicated conference on IoT cybersecurity. My name is John Moore. I'm the Managing Director of the IoT Security Foundation, and I'm also the host for this first session. Of course, we're still in the grips of a global pandemic. So on behalf of the team here, I'd like to extend our best wishes to you and hope you and your loved ones are well and can continue to cope with the effects of COVID-19. As a result, we're virtual once again, which we definitely see some advantages to, yet also we hope that by the time we get here next year, we may move back to a physical event. As to be expected, of course, we've got a compelling lineup of speakers and themes for you over today and tomorrow as we continue our effort to address the wicked challenge, which is IoT cybersecurity. But before I get into the agenda and introduce our first speaker, I have some exciting and important updates for you regarding the work of IoTSF over the past year. The first item I would like to touch on is the framework. Now, we introduced the original 1.0 release of the IoT Security Compliance Framework back in December 2016. And since that time, it's evolved, it's developed, and of course, it's improved. The original idea started life as a simple checklist for consumer IoT product vendors. However, during the construction of that simple checklist, we realized the limitations that it would have. Yet we also saw the opportunity for creating a more compelling tool that would have greater practical application. Hence, we created a framework. And in doing so, we made it a risk-based tool and promoted it to vendors to help them achieve their security goals. That same thinking persists and further extends today. However, with the experience we have now gained over that time, we've recognized that the framework justifies a name change. Hence, from Release 3, we will be calling it the IoT Security Assurance Framework, which better reflects its true intent and value. But don't worry, whilst the framework has had a nuanced name change, its inner workings remained consistent. Furthermore, due to the feedback we have gained over the years, together with the emergence of more standards and labeling schemes around the world, we know that the assurance framework stands strong and is a great tool to help companies achieve whatever compliance claim they're looking for, whether it's a simple self-declaration or conformance to a standard such as ETSI 303645 or perhaps NIST 8259, just to cite a couple of examples. So in this way, we believe that the framework, the assurance framework, is much better than a single compliance tool. In actual fact, it is a pre-compliance tool, and we aim to make it applicable on the journey towards as many destinations that are practical as more standards and labeling schemes will eventually emerge. So what's new in release 3.0? Well, actually quite a lot, but I'm going to leave the honor of telling you all the details about that to the working group chair, that is Trevor Hall from Synaptics. He will update you in a little while as he has a short talk after the break. What I will add, however, at this stage is just to remind people that it is and remains 100% backwards compatible with all prior versions. And we know this is important because there's a lot of industry momentum behind the framework, and we will not be dismissing any of that accumulated investment or value. So Release 3 will be available from the IoTSF website from November the 10th. So look out for the announcement or simply circle back to the website thereafter. Now then, whilst the framework is one of the jewels in the crown of IoTSF, it's not alone. So here's a quick look at what else is happening. It's true that the framework of itself has the honor of being our most downloaded document, with well over 7,000 downloads and constantly achieving over 100 per month. It is, however, followed very closely by the Secure Design Best Practice Guides at nearly 7,000 downloads, and then our very first publication, The Principles of IoT Security, at around 5,000. But I'm extremely proud to tell you that across just 11 member-generated publications, we now have clocked up almost 38,500 downloads from our website alone, and that's only since we've been counting. This represents true value and shows the sort of impact the IoTSF collaborative membership model can make. So let me talk a little bit more about impact and value. At the ESB level, we've been asking ourselves some tough questions, namely around how do we scale this effort up? How can we remove some of our capacity limitations? Can we move faster and can we have more impact? Can we propagate the good practice of IoT security more widely? Can we think globally and can we act locally? That is, can IoTSF go global? Back in June, at the June plenary, we invited our members to consider creating an IoTSF chapter in their region. And at that time, we outlined what the chapter's initiative involved. And essentially for our members, we told them that they get to set their own goals, they get to set their own priorities and their event schedules. They can also suggest and lead new plenary working groups and publications. But crucially, since our research into chapter started probably 2 years ago, and we've looked at a number of organizations that operate chapters, one thing was very clear to us is that we wanted to keep things simple. We wanted minimal management bureaucracy. We wanted to make sure that all the effort was concentrated on the activities of IoT security awareness, best practice, education, networking, and relationship building in the local area too. So we invited our members to consider setting up a chapter. Now, I've been waiting to make this announcement for some time, so I'm very excited to tell you that we're now in a position to announce our very first chapter. I'm very pleased to tell you that our very first chapter is in Bucharest. We've been working with a team in Bucharest over the past few months as we've readied for a wider rollout of the chapter's initiative. And so I'd like to thank Alexis Suditu, Stanescu, I'd like to thank Tiberu and Graziella for helping us pipe clean our processes in anticipation for more chapter applications. And further, we look forward to working with you all to make it a great success for all involved. There will be announcements for the first hybrid meeting very shortly, perhaps within the next couple of weeks. So if you're in the physical area of Romania, Bucharest, or interested in the domain of industrial control systems, you may wish to engage with the chapter and by extension IoTSF via the chapter. So watch this space. And please, if this does indeed inspire you to consider creating something in your area, then the invitation is there for you. We've tried to make things as simple as possible whilst keeping matters orderly, and we'll be delighted to receive your application. So now on to the conference proper. As we get underway, it's customary and very important, we believe, to acknowledge the help we receive from our sponsors. There's a sincere and big thank you to our loyal sponsors, IAR Systems, Secure Things, Device Authority, Xiaomi, and Green Hills. We'd also like to thank Crypto Quantique, a new kid on the block in terms of sponsorship, and also onto the IoT security stage. We think Crypto Quantique is a rather exciting startup and has got some very impressive technology. Each of our sponsors, I should say, are featured in the Meet the Expert sessions later, and we encourage you to engage with their expertise as part of your conference experience. This is how things look like as we get started. Times are for the live version and shown in the UK. We do apologise for not having a fuller set of times as we did last year, but we trust that you can make the conversion and figure that out. As our good friend Jeff Day taught us last year, take a look at your watch, add the minutes on top of where your current time is, and that should give you the expected time of the next session. But just before I jump in, here's a few more stats for you. Over the course of the next 2 days for this virtual conference, you can expect to see 27 speakers, including 5 keynotes, and included in that is 2 panel sessions. So one last thing. Yes, the answer is yes. We will be releasing the talks after the event, first to members and attendees here today, thereafter more publicly later, probably in the new year 2022. So now on to our first keynote speaker. And by now, I hope that many of you will know of Stephen, our chairman. But for those of you who do not, let me introduce you to Dr. Stephen Patterson, Vice President of Public Affairs at ARM and the IoTSF chairman. So thank you for your attention. And now over to Stephen for his opening address.